Hey, welcome back. We'll talk about some more concrete signatures. So in the lecture, you've seen Lamport signature scheme, which is one-time secure. And I guess this serves as an example. And you've seen RSA signatures, so textbook RSA signatures, which are not secure at all. And I basically want to present another example from an assumption that you've already seen, which is the discrete logarithm assumption. And it's also a one-time signature scheme, but it's also it's slightly weaker even than a one-time signature scheme. For this, we first have to define something new, which I call non-adaptive security. So let's go through this. So as usual, the challenger chooses a public key secret key pair. Then A will output a message m hat, which is the one message where it gets a signature for. The important difference to the standard one-time security game is that here the adversary only gets the public key after it has already decided what message it wants to query. So this is why this is a weaker version of the normal one-time security game. We do not allow the adversary to choose the message that it wants to query depending on the public key anymore. It first has to tell us what the message is, then it gets the public key. After it gets the public key, it also gets the signature for the message that it wanted. Then it outputs a candidate forgery M sigma, and it wins if the verify algorithm accepts it. And obviously, it must not be the message that it asked for in its one query. Now let's look at the signature scheme. The signature scheme, the key generation first generates a group G, which will have prime order, so to make things easier for us, and a generator G. Then it chooses a random value omega and a random value x. The secret key is x omega, and the public key is the description of the group, and then G to the omega, G, and G to the x. A signature should look like this. So a signature consists of a value sigma up here, with the property that C is equal to G to the M times H to the sigma, where C is this thing in the public key. So first question to you is, what if we sign a message M in ZP? What does sigma have to be in order for the verification equation to hold? Take a second, think about it. Okay, so let's write down what this actually is. Essentially, we know that C is equal to G to the omega, and this is supposed to be equal to G to the M times H, where H is G to the X, raised to the sigma. We know that for prime order groups, we can just compute in the exponent modulo P, and G is a generator, so we can just break this down to saying that this DLOG here needs to be the same as essentially this DLOG. More specifically, omega must be the same as M plus X sigma. And all of this is mod P. So now how do we have to set sigma? Well, it will have to be okay, so now let's prove that if the discrete logarithm assumption holds, then the signature scheme is non-adaptively one-time secure. So this notion that we have at the top here. So let's do this. We'll have to construct an adversary against the discrete logarithm assumption. And for this, we get an adversary against the signature scheme. So A prime, as usual, will play the role of the challenger in this non-adaptive security game. And A doesn't need anything, it will just immediately send a message M hat. Now a trick will be that because A only needs to receive the public key after it has sent the M hat, is that we will generate the public key in a way that will help us later, and then give it A only after we have already seen the message M hat. So what's happening is now we have to somehow come up with the public key. There's a little bit of magic involved, I'm not sure if it's easy to see. but the idea is that we kind of need to embed this discrete logarithm instance here, this g to the x, where we don't know the x but want to know the x, into this public key. And well, there's already something that's called g to the x in the scheme, so let's just try embedding it there. So now the only question is, how do we have to set c? And for this, we should notice that we need to be able to generate a signature on m hat. So essentially, the easiest way to do this will be doing this now. We can obviously compute g to the m hat times h to the sigma for random sigma. And then we just set this to be c so that it's actually a valid signature. We need to be careful there that all of the distributions kind of work, but this is actually completely the case here. So in the original scheme, sigma is completely determined by the random choices of all the other stuff, essentially so that this equation holds. This is the unique value that makes this equation work. And now we're just doing it the other way around. We're first choosing a random sigma and then choose c to be the unique value to make this equation work. But those two distributions are the same. So now let's use A. A will hopefully output us a signature and a message. And if this is a valid signature, we will have that c is equal, so that it fulfills the verification equation, right? So c is equal to g to the m times h to the sigma. Oh, sorry, I call this sigma hat here. The one word that we used for m hat, and then the forgery returned by a I will call sigma. And now I claim that a prime, given all of these values, in particular the forgery from a, is actually able to compute x, the thing that it wanted all along up here. For this, we take the two equations that we have, this one and this one. And notice that we know the m hat and sigma hat, and we know m and sigma. And essentially from this we will compute x. So if we write this down, and then we can just, see how we can compute x. Good. Now, quiz. Why did we need that m is not equal to m hat? We really need to use that the message that a outputs is a new message, so it's not equal to m hat, which is like in the security game, this is this fact that it will lose if it actually tries to output the same message. Where did we use this? So it's kind of hidden-ish, but the thing will be that we did this inversion up here. And this is only possible if sigma hat is not equal to sigma, obviously. And yeah, this is what we're getting from m hat not being equal to m. So let's suppose for a second that sigma is equal to sigma hat, meaning that this value up here and this value up here, those are the same. But because this equation here holds, this whole equation here holds, if those two were the same, then also m hat would have to be equal to m, because then g to the m hat is equal to g to the m, and so m hat must, because g is a generator, m hat needs to be the same, at least mod p, as m. So if sigma hat is equal to sigma, then also m hat is equal to m, but we know that m hat cannot be equal to m, so we don't have any problems. Meaning that sigma is not equal to sigma hat, and so we can do this inversion, we can find x, and so x is actually what we can return then. And we'll have found our discrete logarithm. And then overall, like, yeah, finding discrete logarithms is hard, so the probability that a prime succeeds is negligible. So the probability that A wins its signature game also needs to be negligible, which is what we wanted to show. Yeah, so that's it. That's kind of an easy-ish signature scheme from discrete logarithm kind of assumptions. There are a bunch of other signature schemes that work in prime order groups, and we do like them for research a lot, but they're kind of a little bit more complicated than this, so can't really show them here. But this is a little bit of a taste of how all of this works in more research-oriented stuff. Thanks for your attention and see you.